space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Hi and welcome back. So going to be doing something very different on the channel this time. Obviously normally I build models and do lighting and electronics and write code, but this time I'm baking a cake. For those that don't know, during lockdown this year it was my 50th and it was also my brother's 40th. We couldn't really do anything properly, couldn't organise anything, so we've waited till after lockdown and we're having a bit of a joint do this coming weekend. So I'm going to be making a Starship Enterprise cake. Going to be, well, 5 different cakes. So we're doing a fruit cake for the saucer, a chocolate cake for the secondary hull, engineering hull, a vanilla roulade for one of the nacelles, and a caramel roulade for the other nacelle. And we're going to do, I haven't decided if I'm going to do ginger cake or sponge cake for the Bridgestone and the 2 nacelle end caps. So not going to be at my modelling desk this time, going to be in my kitchen, and it's not massive in my kitchen, but do my best to get things on video for you. So quite literally, let's get cracking because we have eggs to break. Okay, so the first of my cakes I'm going to make is my fruit loaf, basically a tea loaf recipe. I've got 300 grams of sultanas that I've had seeping for 3 days now in liquid, and the liquid is 100 millilitres of amaretto for some nice flavour, nice almondy flavour, goes nice in cakes, and 300 millilitres of tea. Sorry to all the tea drinkers out there, I'm a coffee drinker, so I've just used Tetley tea bags, Tint Yorkshire tea. I know it should be, but it is what it is. So going to give that's been seeping. We need to drain this off, but we need to reserve all this liquid. We're going to need melted butter. My clover does fine for that. Brown sugar, eggs, baking powder, plain flour, and we need some mixed spice. I've not been able to get any in the shops. Anyone in the UK will be aware of things like this, that if it's run out in the shops, we're probably not getting it for a year, 2 years now, because we're the only country in history to ever impose economic sanctions on ourselves. Well done. So I'm going to make some myself. So I've got some ginger, some cloves, some cinnamon, and I'd like to have had some star anise, but I can't get any. So that's all going to get beaten up in my pestle and mortar. Give it a toast off, and I just need a teaspoon of that once it's done. So I'll get these drained off and start weighing out some ingredients, and get my spice mix made, and then get back to you. For anyone who's never used a pestle and mortar and uses some form of electric food processor for grinding up spices, get yourself a pestle and mortar. The electric food processor spins at thousands of RPM, creating a load of heat, which is going to affect your spices. So, pestle and mortar, all we need to do is keep going round. Really easy. But get a pestle and mortar. Don't use electric gadgets for grinding spices. Really, really bad idea. Look how easy that is. Right, so my spice mix is all nicely ground up now. I've got my oven heating up to 170 degrees centigrade. And I need a round cake tin. And I'm probably like a lot of people who live on their own, and I don't have every kitchen gadget and that you can think of, but I do have a metal frying pan that's nice and round, and it'll have the nice shape for the saucer. So this needs lining in greaseproof paper, which isn't the easiest thing normally, but what we do, teach this trick. Roughly square piece of greaseproof paper. You can see it's bigger than the sort of circle part, which will take into account the sides of the pan. So we fold in half. We fold in half again. We have our central point now, which is roughly the middle of the paper. So we just keep folding in half and folding in half, keeping the point always to the centre. In half again. As many of these as you can do, the more the better. And get our pan roughly the centre. Need to remember we've got a good 1.5 inches of the side. So get our scissors, just snip it off. Open it up. We have a nice round piece of, or roughly round, piece of greaseproof paper, which will now easily go into our pan. So we need to grease that up, even though it is greaseproof. Still want to grease our paper. Don't want the cake sticking. So that's ready for our cake mix. So it's time to start making our cake. So mixing bowl, two eggs, $200 of brown sugar, and whisk these together. We've also got the liquid we've drained from our leftover from our seeping our fruit that we drained. That goes in. Nice bit of tea and amaretto mix there. Adding nice flavour. So now we've got our wet ingredients sorted. Get ourselves a sieve, and now we add 250 grams of plain flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon, a little bit more, 1 teaspoonful of our mixed spice mix. Getting any few lumps of flour out, and there might be a few bits from our mixed spice because we've done it in the pestle and mortar. So that's all in there. Get our wooden spoon, mix this in. So once that's all mixed in, you can see how quick this is in real time. I've got 2 tablespoons of melted butter. I've just used my clover. Like, a lot of recipes will tell you to use unsalted butter, but I like that little bit of saltiness because it helps break down some of the sweet that you can get. Dessert's going to end up too sweet without it. So melted butter, seeped fruit. You can see how plump and soft these are from that soaking they've had, and the taste absolutely lush. So give this a good mix in. So the fruit is spread all the way through. It's looking good. Get our makeshift cake tin, already oiled. So just literally pour our cake batter in. Just make sure it's going to all the edges. Beautiful. Into our preheated oven. I'm about 3/4 of the way up. Trying to get the pan in the centre of the dish, and that needs 1 hour and 15 minutes roughly to cook. So we'll come back in 1 hour and 15 minutes. Right, so it's been 1 hour and 15 minutes. So time to take my cake out of the oven. Looking good. I'm using a chopstick, put a skewer into the middle of the cake, pull it out, and it's come out clean, which tells me the cake is cooked. And if I feel it, yeah, that feels good. So get myself a rack. Very quickly. And there we are cooling. And see how easy that came out. So that is ready to be the saucer section. Right, so the next cake that we're making is our ginger cake. I'm going to be using this for the 2 buzzard collectors and the dome on the bridge. So our ingredients are white sugar, self-raising flour, bicarbonate of soda, ground ginger, an egg, butter, or in my case I'm using clover, and golden syrup. So the first stage I want to do is get my moulds ready. So I'm using these Chinese soup bowls. Nice shape, perfect for the bridge and for the buzzards. So I'm going to line these in the same way I did with the pan. Greaseproof paper. And then I'm going to make one flat one, so I can do the nacelle struts as well from ginger cake. So I'll get them lined and then we'll get back to you. Right, so I've got these cut again already. So time to make the cake. I've got my oven switched on, heating up to 180 degrees centigrade. So we're going to start with our self-raising flour, sieving our ingredients. Our sugar, 200 grams of each gone in. One teaspoon of ground ginger. One teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. $55 grams of butter. Give these a quick rub together, the same as what you would do if you were making a pastry. Basically, we're mixing all them dry ingredients together and we're getting a nice coat of fat over all of them. So it'll be nicely evenly distributed. Nice and easy done. So now we add our wet ingredients. So we've got one beaten egg, 240 millilitres of cold water, and 2 tablespoons of golden syrup. Love this stuff. Grab our whisk. All mixed together. Nice and easy. Nothing major to this one. Just get in a baking tray so it's easier to lift these cakes in and out. And this is a very wet cake mixture, so just ladle in. Put into each of these. Give them some nice dome. It doesn't rise a great deal, doesn't this sponge? So we can go quite high. And that's it. We've already got our oven preheating at 180 degrees centigrade. So we just want to make sure these are nice and settled in. In the centre again. Shut up 180 degrees centigrade, and that'll take between 35 and 40 minutes, so we'll check back in 35 minutes. Right, so it's been just over 35 minutes. So let's have a look at our ginger cakes. Feels cooked. Good. We will get a, same as last time, we'll get a chopstick. Just test into the middle. And that's come out clean. So they're cooked. They're going to be great for the nacelles, possibly a little bit too big for the bridge dome, but when it's cooled I will have no problem just slicing a bit off the bottom. So we'll get these onto our cooling rack. These are a bit more difficult to hold than the last ones. That's easier. Yeah, perfect for the nacelles, a bit big for the bridge dome, but it's not a problem. I will just cut the bottom off, or the top off one of them, and I'll have to eat that. So that's cake 4, 5 and 6 done. Sorry, 3, 2, 3 and cake 2, 3, 4 and 5 done. 3 more to go.